Just a short video today, and I'm using Mod Podge, I'm using parchment paper, and an iron. Yep, an iron. So I tried this a while ago. I don't like sticky fingers. I don't always like using Mod Podge. So I saw another crafter in Woodcraft put Mod Podge on their item and let it dry. And then, once it was completely dry, then she could put a napkin on, like this. And so since I've been using this scrapbook paper that's not my favorite and trying to make it more attractive, I've been doing that. Here is a banner that I've put in our eating area, and it has some of that scrapbook paper I don't particularly care for covered with the napkins. I'm going to do this with some frames. Again, putting the Mod Podge on there, letting it dry completely, and then sandwiching the items between two pieces of parchment, using the iron, and then, so that piece of paper has Mod Podge on it already. It's completely dry. I did it a few days ago. And now I'm going to show you how I put down the napkin, the paper napkin. It's not difficult. And I like the fact that I can do this in 2 steps. So you sandwich it between the parchment paper, the non-stick parchment paper, so that your iron doesn't get ruined. And then the heat of the iron activates the glue. So 2 pieces of parchment paper, a heated iron, no steam ideally, and I do it probably hotter than I need to do it. You don't need to do it very hot. I have this wool pad that's meant for quilting, and I use it on my table with a glass mat under the wool mat, and that way the table doesn't get damaged. See, the edge of the napkin didn't adhere, so I just fix it. A little more heat, and there it is, completely adhered, and you can barely see the scrapbook paper underneath. And then I can cut it out as I choose. Now here's another napkin. I really like the scalloped edge of that napkin. And the colors, they work well with the scrapbook paper. Just sticking the parchment down. And then the nice part about this technique is the fact that there are no wrinkles. Often, if you were to put down glue or Mod Podge or anything, and then when it was still wet, put the napkin or other items on top, you get more wrinkles. Now, sometimes you want wrinkles. Sometimes you want that interesting texture. But I don't always want that, especially, for example, when I'm trying to work ahead or I'm trying to do things in a junk journal. This works really well. Simple, quick, easy. Yep, that's my style. Now, this is a journal that I made. It's filled with those papers, again, like I've been working with. They're not my favorite. And I've also added a layer of mulberry paper. And I covered the cover with Mod Podge. It's completely dry. And I'm going to put the mulberry paper on. Now, I didn't want this to wrinkle at all. And this method, you get the least amount of wrinkles that I've encountered. So, here's the mulberry paper. It's thin, but not as thin as a paper napkin. And using an iron, carefully pressing. I have on the edge, on what would be the fold, where the 3-hole pamphlet stitch with a waxed linen thread is, I'm putting it over top there too. And this is an experiment. I haven't done this before. So you're watching live. The cover was originally a Tyvek envelope that I covered with scrapbook paper. And the heat from the iron, later on, I checked, and the heat from the iron began melting the Tyvek, but not a hole or anything. So I have, as one of the pages on the inside, sewn into the signature, another piece of mulberry paper. And I discovered the heat moving it through adhered both sides, because I had done Mod Podge on the inside cover also and let it dry. So I'm going with it. It looks good. I like how it disguises and adds texture without any wrinkles to the, I'm putting my hand inside, and you can feel a roughness on the inside pocket from where the Tyvek began to change texture. But it's not a hole, and it's still loose. I can put something in. So I don't consider this a fail. It's just an experiment. And isn't that what junk journaling is all about? Experimenting to see, will this work? Won't it work? Yeah, I'm quite pleased with this journal. It's so plain. The papers, I feel, have a masculine feel. And because they're so, what do you call it when they're graphic, or there's no flowers. It lends itself to a masculine style journal. Now, I'm going to use it for myself, so obviously I'll be adding things that appeal to me, which have a more feminine feel, but the original is plain. Now, this is the Mod Podge is on the white side, and I want to see if it will work with a magazine image. Hint, it does. Actually, after I've completed all this with the napkins and what you're seeing here in the Mod Podge, I pulled out my parchment, my freezer paper with the plastic coating, and I'm carried on adding the magazine images to freezer paper. You'll see that in next week's video when I complete the journal. Now, there's no Mod Podge on that side that I'm doing. Otherwise, my iron would be sticky because I didn't use any parchment paper over top. But right now, with that little bit of dried Mod Podge, the magazine page has adhered. There's a little bit of rippling. I think I prefer using freezer paper than this scrapbook paper covered with dried Mod Podge. But my goal is to use up the scrapbook paper, so I consider this a win. So here's the banner that I made, hung up in our dining area. And next is what I'm going to be working on, that journal next week. Take care. It's Lori, and we'll see you next week. Happy crafting. Bye for now.